Hello everyone, I'm Karen Robinson from littlepaperparty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and today I have the third project in my 12 Days of Christmas series to share with you, which I'm calling Stocking Stuffer, but these probably won't end up in stockings because my embellishment became a little bit more lavish than I had originally intended, but I tend to call pretty much anything that is a smallish kind of gift and it can fit in a stocking stuffer, and it definitely could go in there. Yeah, and this is what we're going to make, so we'll get into it. So the base of these is, I'll just move one out of the way. The base of these that I've used is these little mini paper pumpkin boxes. These are available in the annual catalogue, and they come 10 to a pack. They come flat like this. There's 10 to a pack, and the finished size of them is 5 7/8 of an inch by 3 3/4 by 1 inch deep. And they're really nice. So very quickly to start off with, we'll just put one together. It's a very typical kind of box that you can get, pre-made box. So you're just going to fold along all the score lines, just finger folding. They're already on the box for you. You don't have to add any. And I'm just going to pop out these little pieces here to make some slits that the tabs will go in, that will keep the box together. And I'm just going to quickly fold the other way. So these boxes, you can stamp on them, you can color them, you could spritz them, sponge them. I've seen someone actually completely cover them with DSP, which looked really pretty. Then once you've got it all folded, these 4 tabs here are just going to fold to the inside. Hopefully you'll be able to see. And then you're just going to fold the sides around and pop them into those slits. And you'll kind of hear like a little click kind of thing, and then you'll know that they're in there properly. And the other one, there we go. And that's it. Simple, no glue, easy to put together. That folds in, and then these little round bits here just slide in there and keeps it closed securely. So nice and small, easy to put together. Lovely, and very sturdy. So a couple of other things you can definitely, like I said, you can color it, add DSP to it, however you want to zhuzh it up, leave it plain white. They're nice and sturdy, so a lot sturdier than they would be if you tried to make this just out of regular cardstock. And also they're food safe, so if you have a look on the inside, they've kind of got that shiny. If you do like to make your own treats and stuff, they are food safe, so none of the oils and that will come through and spoil the outside of your box. So that's just the box. That's the basis of my whole project. But now we're going to make it look pretty. All right, so I'm just going to bring this back in. I won't bother putting the thing on. So I kind of originally just wanted to do a belly band on my box, but it didn't look really good with the paper that I was going to use. So after a little bit of kind of fussing around, I just ended up coming with like a full wrap or a sleeve for it. So this kind of now works as it's like a really just a big matchbox. But I love it because there's not a lot of white in this particular paper pack, and the white was glaring. But if you did choose something else, you could just do a wrap and it would look just as nice. So for the products that I used, I'll go through those really quickly so we can just get on with making. The DSP I used is the Poinsettia Place Designer Series paper, which is this lovely paper. It has a very kind of vintagey, kind of traditional look to it. I also used some of this just here, this gorgeous plush poinsettia specialty paper. It's vellum, and it has like flocking. The design is flocked in white on it. It's absolutely lovely. So some of it can cut out. There are dies that will cut parts of this paper out as well, and parts of the DSP. For the base, I have used soft suede cardstock. And I'm just going to use them all. I'm making at least half a dozen of these boxes for my own friends and family and to use this season. And then for my little embellishment bit, which I'm trying to knock it off there, I used the Poinsettia Petals bundle. This is available as a bundle. There are matching dies. So I've just used one of the sentiments, the Happy Holidays. The stamps on the front, it's only at 65%, so the stamps are a lot bigger than are displayed on the front. So yeah, they're nice, they're substantial. So I used that for my sentiment, and then I just used the dies to cut all the embellishments. You can stamp and die cut, but I just cut them out of cardstock. So we will get into making one, and yeah, it's actually really easy to make. The longest thing is probably just all the die cutting, and that's because I made a complicated embellishment. Oh, there was one other die, or a couple of other dies actually, that I did use. I wanted a little bit more for my embellishment, so I used this kind of branch image from the In the Woods framelits. Completely optional. I just wanted a little something extra. And then to die cut my sentiment, I used one of these dies from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. But you don't have to do that. You could just punch it out. You could just trim it out with your trimmer. But I have them. I was already die cutting, so it wasn't really an extra step. So let's get started with the base. So to start off with, you're going to need a piece of cardstock for a full wrap that's 5 7/8 wide by the length of your cardstock. So I'm in Australia, and our cardstock is A4, and our cardstock is about 11 3/4 of an inch long. But this will work perfectly well. If you work with letter cardstock, yours is 11 inches long. Both will work. It will both wrap around and fit. You don't need to cut it down. So just 5 7/8 by the length of your cardstock, regardless of what cardstock you work with. So I'm going to grab up my Simply Scored, pop it on there, and I'm going to score it at 2 5/8, 3 3/4, 7 5/8, and 8 3/4. Just 4 score lines. That's all I need the Simply Scored for. You could do this on your trimmer if you have a scoring attachment on it as well. I'm just going to fold and burnish those so they're nice and crisp. And then that is it. I'm going to grab my box, which I put over here out of the way. Grab my box, and then it doesn't really matter, whatever you want to have overlapping. One end will be a little bit longer than the other, and see, it wraps beautifully around. And I have, as you can see, a lot of overlap here, but if you are working with 11-inch cardstock, you still have plenty to attach, so you don't have to worry about the length. You could measure it and cut it down. I was just happy just to cut it. I'm just using the whole length. So for the DSP, I wanted to kind of stretch a bit further, because I'm going to be using this in a few projects this year. So I am just using 4-inch strips, which means I can get 3 from 112 by 12 sheet. And I have the rest of the patterns that I'm going to use. I've made 2 boxes. I'm going to be making 6, and I've chosen these ones. They're double-sided, so you could use anything that you liked. But these are the ones that I'm going to use. And I think I'm just going to use this plain kind of lovely greeny backgroundy one here. So I've cut it to 4 by 12. I haven't bothered to cut it down, and this is the best way I found to attach it to my cardstock. So it's not difficult. You can't just wrap it around, like completely flat glue it on and then wrap it around, because it will make your cardstock buckle a little bit. The cardstock actually has a little bit of, thickness dimension to it, and so when you've wrapped it around, these just make it like a little bit thicker than it is normally. You just kind of got these there, so if you just stick it on flat, it will buckle your cardstock, long story short. So this is the way that I found that I did it, and I got the result that I liked. You could try adhering these and these before you score, but you're still going to have the same problem, because you're just going to have too much thickness from your cardstock. So I'm just going to put some tear and tape just on one end of my paper. Remove the backing, And probably the hardest part for me is I am going to line it up, and I'm just going to got a little bit of overhang, and I'm going to center it. Is the main thing that I want to take time with to make sure that I do. Okay, and so when I'm happy with that, I'm just going to stick that down. So the rest is loose. I'm going to pop my wrap, my cardstock wrap, back onto my box. Just hold it in place, hold it closed, and then I'm going to just bring my DSP and finger fold it around. And hopefully I've got it perfectly straight, and then it will line up. Oh, and it does on the back. That's always nice when that works. And then just finger fold it in place. Now you could come back and unfold this and then burnish it with your bone folder again to get the nice crisp folds, lines, which looks really nice. So the only problem I have with that is because I've actually attached it at the front, just doing this first one. You don't have to. It looks nice either way. So I can do this one. So this is the one that I have a little bit of difficulty with if I did want to come back and do that. Okay, I'll just do it with my fingers. Then to attach it, I kept it really simple. I just added some tear and tape strips just onto these fold lines here. I'm not attaching it all the way around. I will show you why again in a minute. So just roughly in the center. Pop my band on. Remove my backing, and then I'm just going to fold that and stick it in place now. Work my way around. Oops, remove that a little bit. Stick that one in place, and then I can add a little bit here and stick this last bit in place. It doesn't have to be stuck all the way. You are going to overlap this, and I might just pop that on there so I know I'm going to get it in the right place. Oops. See, I'm trying to get towards the end there, and okay. So if you've done what I've done and you've just put this in the wrong place, that is fine. I'm going to remove the backing. And because it's double-sided, I'm just going to roll it back in on itself. And yep, it will be absolutely fine. There's no sticky at all on that side. And I am just going to pop it onto my box. And there is a reason. I want to make sure the DSP needs to kind of be fractionally longer than the cardstock for it to fit well around. Okay, I don't think I'm explaining that well at all. Okay. And I just realized I've just made a mistake. That's why I wanted to put it on the cardstock. That's okay, we can fix it. Now I'm going to trim off any excess. I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. I don't mind getting sticky. Which is one reason why I didn't want to cut my DSP down, because I need extra length. You could work it out. I haven't worked it out. I just found, believe it or not, this was the quickest way to do it. So what happens if I lay this down now, you'll see that my DSP actually kind of pops up a little bit. So it just needs to be a little bit longer so that when it's wrapped around, it will lay perfectly flat on it. And that's why this was, I found, the easiest way to attach it. So now I can figure out how I want this to overlap and add some more tear and tape just along one edge, all the way along now, and I can close it up and make my wrap. So it isn't complicated at all to make. I hope I didn't make it seem complicated. It's more just explaining why I didn't adhere the DSP on to the cardstock from the beginning. So what I did was I kind of made it quite snug, and then I just released it just a little bit and then I put it on because I want my box to be able to slide out quite easily, but I don't want it to fall out. All right, so that's the box. That's it. That's the wrap made. Done, dusted. And so now we're going to add a little bit of embellishment and just zhuzh it up and make it look pretty. So for my embellishment, I added, these are all my elements. So I have all mine, it's all die cut, all ready to go. Oops, daisy. This is the wrong pile, but anyway. So I made a poinsettia. So I just used 3 pieces. I've got 4 leaves, 2 large and 2 small. A couple of these branch pieces from the In the Woods dies. I've got rubbish trying to blow its way in here. And then I've got some of that beautiful flocked vellum. Oh, I hope you can see that. Yeah. So the die will cut out this piece, but then there was another one facing the opposite direction, so I just fussy cut that out. And then I've got this little centerpiece which is die cut. I used copper foil, and I did use the adhesive sheets that we have in our annual catalogue to make it into a sticker, but you could just use glue. So to add a little bit of something to the petals, the leaves and the petals of my flowers, I used 2 of my Stampin' blends, so dark cherry cobbler and dark old olive, just to go over the embossed lines, just to add some dimension and to make them stand out. So I've already done everything else, so you don't need to see me do that. And yes, so when you run it through, so here is one that hasn't got any on it yet. I mean, it looks quite pretty, but you can't really see this lovely detail that you've added with the embossing die, because it's the same color, and I just felt that this really helped it pop out and made it look nicer and added a nice bit of dimension to, you know, a really 2-dimensional project. You could use markers for that as well. I just have the blends, so I use them. And then to put my poinsettia together, because I was popping this whole element up, I decided to adhere this all flat, but just before I do, I wanted to add a little bit more dimension. So I've just grabbed, this is just a pen, any kind of round pen, pencil, anything will do, and I've just used it to curl up the petals on my flower and to curl up the leaves. And it all adds up. All those little bits do add up. So just while I'm curling this, I'll just give you a couple of tips about the dies. I decided to use the outline, so what cuts out the flower, and the embossing die together. They are 2 separate dies. When you do that, just be careful that your embossing die doesn't move, that you have a gap between it and the outline. I was very careful, I knew I needed to be, except right till the very end, and then on one of my leaves it moved a little bit and kind of caught, and so I've just bent the tip just a little bit. So just make sure that you are careful of that, or, you know, do be sensible and use tape. would have been more sensible. And the other thing is, the dies, the embossing dies especially, are actually very fine towards the center, and I was starting to pick one up, and then I realized I was picking it up just from the outside, and it was going to bend. So just be careful when you are picking these up, because they are quite fine here, and you could easily snap them if you were to lift them off the sticky backing. Okay, so they're all done. I'm going to use some Tombow just to put my poinsettia together. Really simple. I've just layered it, offset my petals, because that's kind of the look that you want. The petals. And then I did use a pair of reverse tweezers just to hold it in place. You could pop it under a block, but then you're going to squash some of this curling that you've just spent time doing. So that will still dry. And then because I use the adhesive backing on this is basically a sticker. If you have something like a Xyron, you could do the same effect, and then I could just stick this little bit in the middle for the center, and then I could go and like fluff these up a little bit more. So to assemble my whole kind of little arrangement here, I put all my bits on my box, fussed around with it how I thought I would like it to be, kind of thing. So yeah, I want that there. And then I went and added glue dots to the end of all of these little pieces and then kind of assembled them. So I know you don't want to see me do that. It's not hard, it's just a little bit, you know, finicky and fiddly. So I've already got one that's all assembled. Whoops, it wants to stick. So this is what it looks like when I've assembled it all. So at the moment it's just being held together with glue dots. So if I turn it over, you can see kind of glue dots and stuff, and it's quite precarious, but that's okay because I'm actually going to pop this entire element up on my box with dimensionals. So I'll turn it over now. If there's any extra bits that I want to trim off, so I might just trim off this little bit of stick here. I don't need that bit. And then I'm going to grab my dimensionals and add some dimensionals. So I have it so that it's kind of a corner motif, I guess. So I know I definitely want some here and some here. So I'm just going to add a few, and this will also into the center, I think. This will also help keep everything together as well. So I know the back looks horrible, doesn't it? But that's the beauty of this. You're not going to see the back. Just thinking about where this is going to be. And thinking about what I want up and what I want down. Okay, I'm going to leave that. So I know I haven't got dimensionals on everything, but I don't want to stick everything down. I want some things to be able to pop up. So remove the backing, and then I'm going to pop this on where I want it to go. And then press it in place. And then after I had gotten my base amount of dimensionals on, I kind of went back in, I looked underneath. So for example, I know I want one under this leaf here because I want that to pop up a little bit. So I just went in, grabbed some, and then just popped some extra ones in place. And then I have reverse tweezers, and I just used those to remove the backing. And then I could pull that out. You could take the backing off like both sides first if you don't have reverse tweezers, and then just put it on carefully. And then I just added some more to support it and kind of make things pop where I wanted to pop. And then I can bring these little bits up. But I don't want everything stuck down because I want the dimension. Then this sentiment, so I've already stamped and die cut my sentiments. I stamped them in real red. And die cut them, and I put it towards the right hand side because I wanted to tuck them under here. What have I got here? I wanted to tuck them under here, and I think I have a dimensional a little bit too far over. So I wanted to tuck it under here. It kind of reminded me of like an old-fashioned kind of chocolate box sometimes that I've seen like in those vintage photos, and they've got the little tag on it. So you could swap this out and put a to and from on there, and then you could write, you know, who it's for. But I just thought I'm going to have this all decorated up, and then I probably will add a tag, either I can tuck one underneath or on the back or somewhere else. So this is just like a plain decorated, so I can just use them for anybody at the moment. So I decided to adhere this flat just with some Tombow as well. I'm trying to get it under that leaf. Okay, tuck it, have a little bit of an angle. There we go. And that's super pretty. And then the very last thing I added, because I just needed a little bit more sparkle, were these, oops daisy, these wonderful gems. I can't remember what catalog they're in, but they're in one of them, and they are like clear with kind of gold in them, and then there's red with glitter in it as well. But I use these ones. These are so pretty. They're really beautiful, and they just added the perfect finishing touch. So I added a big one to the center of my poinsettia, and because, oops daisy, and because it is clear, sorry, it just popped, there we go, I separated the adhesive from the back. Because it's clear, it picks up the color of the copper behind it. So it's like it's the perfect color. It just blended beautifully, and it really adds a lovely, lovely little sparkle. And then I added a few to my sentiment. And just make sure you pick up, of course, the adhesive with your little gem. And then I did add a little one under here. You can't really see it very well, but when the light hits it, you do get this like little kind of bit of hidden sparkle, which is lovely. And that is my project. That is it. I just move some stuff out of the way here. It is quick and simple. The longest thing I think is probably the die cutting, but I had them all. My die cutting platform was absolutely crammed. I fit as many as on there as I possibly could, so I could do as much as I wanted with one pass, and it went quite quickly. So these are what I have already done. So I've got to do at least another 3. I may end up making even more because I love how these turned out. They're so cute. So while I probably won't put these in stockings, or if I did, I might have them right at the very top because I don't want to crush any of this that I've done. But they would make lovely little, if you like to hide little gifties and stuff in your trees, they would be perfect for that. And I can see a few of these going there. So a few ideas of what you could put inside very quickly. So I was thinking of these originally for my husband and my 3 boys. So I have I've just borrowed. So this is one of my husband's ties, which folded up beautifully in there. I also have like a nice pair of socks, which could fit in there perfectly as well. Some other ideas, like crafty ideas, because we're not all necessarily making things for the guys. It'll fit 2 ink pads and a refill. It'll only fit 1 refill, but that would be a lovely little gift, wouldn't it? I would love that. If anyone wants to give me ink pads, I would be very happy. I wouldn't be complaining. Some other things, just of our kind of crafty things that could fit in there. You could make a little adhesive, or maybe that won't fit. Okay. Dimensionals you have to cut down. Hold on. That will fit, and a tombow will fit, and a bone folder will fit. If I took the tombow out, I could fit a Winker Stella. I could fit, where are they? My paper snips, oops, and dimensional backings, because everybody needs those, don't they? So you could put in quite a few little crafty bits and pieces. Of course, you know, you could add ribbon in there, embellishments, and I mean, and this is just for paper crafting. Some of these, you know, little jewels, lots of ideas. We all need more cutting blades for our trimmers. I've got a huge pile mess over here on my left. I don't know if it's in the shot. Anyway, but lots and lots of things. And I mean, those are just paper crafting ideas. And you've got people who sew and who cross stitch, and you could fit stacks of stuff in there, as well as obviously yummies, jewelry, small makeup items, toys. Yeah. They're small, but they can fit a lot in there. They're not too small. So this is my project today. I hope you liked it. I really like how they turned out. They are so pretty, and I'm looking forward to finishing off the rest and then putting some goodies in there. And when we set our tree up, I'm having some kind of scattered in the tree for the boys to find on Christmas morning. Well, that is everything for today. I will see you next time with number 4. Bye.